Neutrophils are those elements of the white blood cells associated with premature closure of the airways, and basically are now cognizant of the fact that we don't need to wear the winter clothes, and the little bulges here and there, or the bigger bulges here and there, we want to try and take care of. And it's becoming increasingly important for us to understand diet and exercise, but more importantly, to understand nutrition before we start to understand diet and exercise. We all know what our goal is and how we need to lose the weight. I have enough weight, I have enough extra flesh on my arms. I don't like the double chin that I see. I've got this trunk of fat itself which feels very uncomfortable. I can't sit or stoop properly. I tried to do a couple of sit-ups and I find this weight inside. Now I'm not able to walk up that flight of stairs because of the increasing shortness of breath. Or I feel very tired when I try to run even 100 yards. All of us will be faced with these issues once we start to lose fact that our exercise is a vital part of our existence. And maintaining our weight for our height is probably equally as important in order for us to understand that the pursuit of health and fitness is probably not it's not a personal goal anymore. It's basically a goal that you owe to yourself. For your entire longevity is going to depend on how much you maintain your exact weight for your height and how much exercise you're able to tolerate. Even in the process of recovery during illness, it has been found that those who are physically fit have a much shorter period of recuperation. Monitoring disease processes, it's also found that those who are fit, and fit not in terms of going to the gym and pumping iron, fit in the terms of cardiovascular health, in terms of musculoskeletal health, must have a much better chance of surviving illness and much better chance of surviving disease processes. But when we start to think of weight loss, we must understand nutrition in itself. Obviously, we all are aware of the main food division of our foods. We have the carbohydrates, which produce the energy. We have the fats, which are sometimes stored. We have the proteins, which are used for muscle building. We have the minerals, which are very vital for our endocrine system and also for the production of repair for our cells itself. And we also know of the different aspects to do with the minerals and the vitamins. We also never forget to remember that water is probably one of the major nutritional products. But that's first of all, in terms of diet, nutrition, and general health, allude to what is the role of carbohydrates. And what I think most of my experience in patients who have difficulty losing weight is they do not understand the difference between intake and expenditure. They sometimes think that, or even able to quantify what is the amount of calories in that particular portion of food. For instance, most of us will think that a handful of rice gives us maybe 100 calories. It gives you closer to 1,000 calories. And how much can we burn by 30 minutes on a treadmill machine, walking at a brisk pace of, let's say, 5 miles an hour? You are going to find after 30 minutes, the reading of that machine is not more than 450 to 500 calories burnt. And that's if you really walk fast. The issue with that, understand that you've just had a bowl of rice, which had the amount of calories given to the body is 1,000, and you've just burnt 500. So you still have 500 more to burn. So if you decide to eat before you exercise, and you said this is the amount of calories I need to give me the energy to exercise, make sure that is consistent with how much time you want to exercise and how much you intend to burn. Let's say most of us are like myself, you're more or less sedentary jobs and basically not heavy work in terms of exposure to sunlight and heavy labors in cane fields and sugar estates and rice fields. You're basically at a level where you're just doing minimal amount of work, whether it be as a teacher, as a professional, as a person who's doing security guard work or works in a store. Your caloric intake for the day is probably closer to 1200 calories, say 1200 to 1500 calories. You will get that over the day by a small scoop of rice. I'm saying one meal per day, a scoop of rice, some vegetables, a small amount of protein, and that's enough for the day. We also usually have a cup of coffee, or maybe more than one cup of coffee, and that will give you an additional 300 to 400 calories per day. So it is important for us to understand we don't want to feel hungry, we want to feel full. So there's no desire to eat, and hence increase the caloric intake. The trick of the whole thing is to decrease the amount you take in. So when you exercise, you burn the calories, the excess amount of calories. To try and eat 8 hours or 1 hour prior to exercise, you're not using that. Let's say you decide to eat 8 hours prior to exercise. Most of the carbohydrates that you ate for that exercise is now transported to the liver and stored as fat. If you decide to exercise, eat 1 hour before you exercise, that calories, the calories that you just ate, is not available for exercise. So it's important to monitor and manage your caloric intake. How do you manage the question? How do you manage the question that's commonly asked? I feel hungry and I have to eat. You have to decide at that point in time whether your hunger is going to be satisfied by an apple, or it's going to be satisfied by a couple of bara, doubles, or roti, or something that have 2 or 3 slices of bread. The caloric intake of that is much in excess of what you need per day. So in order to understand diet and exercise, you must understand nutrition. And I will try over the next couple of weeks is to give you as much education on nutrition and how to time your dieting and your exercise to make sure you lose the weight. Also how to manage hunger in a case when we're trying to diet. Because a lot of us try to manage hunger, do well throughout the day, and when we get home at night, we sit with that plate of roti, sit a plate of rice, and it's flooded with the roti on the side of it. You have a caloric intake of close to 2,000 to 3,000. That in itself is now stored overnight into the liver, absorbed by the stomach, stored in the liver. That is now going to be our truncal fat for the next day. So it's important for us to manage it, because as anything else that's worth achieving, it comes with a lot of sacrifice. But with the sacrifice comes with an understanding. You're trying to lose weight to make it permanent, because you're not trying to lose weight rapidly to fit into the dress for the wedding. You're trying to lose weight permanently, so you decrease the incidence of the common diseases, especially the diabetes, the hypertension, the coronary artery disease that is so common in our community.